Cora Staunton is with us this morning. Cora, good morning, good evening to you. How are you?
I'm not too bad now, all good.
Yeah, look, we're just talking about the lotto winner coming from Castlebar. Bigger news than the fact that 19 million is making its way to Mayo is that Oisin Mullin has decided to stay. What's your reaction when you heard this news?
Yeah, obviously I was surprised. I was disappointed I hadn't won the 19 million. Anyways, that's first off. It wasn't me, I can tell you that. Yeah, but it's great it's gone to Mayo. Yeah, and obviously on the Oisin Mullin news, yeah, obviously big news in Ireland, and it's big news here today as well. It's been all over the AFL media. So I'm sure Geelong are disappointed, obviously, not to be picking up Oisin, but obviously from a Mayo point of view, and obviously being a Mayo fan, it's a huge boost to the county to have him back. Whatever the situation it might be, obviously decided long and hard. Obviously we thought he was gone, and now he's not. So yeah, it's a huge boost to Mayo and their aspirations to try and finally win Sam.
So there was genuine hype around Mullin down there.
Yeah, obviously it broke first. I had it from the Irish media, it broke first, but yeah. This morning, then when you went on, the situation it might be, obviously decided long and hard. Obviously we thought he was gone. Yeah, it's big news in the AFL media over here. And their aspirations.
Oh, are you streaming us live there as well at the same time, Cora? We're hearing a bit of feedback.
No, I'm not. No.
Okay, it must be on our side. Because there was a hype video that Geelong released when he was signed, and I guess not that many people turned down the opportunity to go and play. You know, we had Bríd Stack on last week, and we'll talk to you about her in a moment. But it's long been a dream of young Irish people to go off to Australia, have a bit of sun on your back, and play a bit of professional sport. So obviously a big decision, and I guess maybe Australia feeling a little bit of rejection.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. It's a big decision for, a guy. He's 21. He's won, 2 Young Footballer of the Year. I'm sure there's been a lot of pressure on him over the last number of weeks from the Mayo public in particular. He's quite a different, type of character to a lot of footballers. He stays in his own little corner, and I'm sure he felt a lot of pressure. Obviously he was playing with his club Kilmaine as well, and they lost, I think it was a county semi-final, and I can imagine there was huge pressure on his shoulders, especially with obviously Mayo being very close to winning the All-Ireland in the last number of years, and him being a huge boost to them over the last few years coming through. So yeah, I'm sure it's very difficult for him to turn down. Is it for just this year, or is it for the future? He's probably still young enough. I can imagine if he had come out to Geelong, he'd be probably accelerated quickly enough into the team. Normally, guys come out at 18-year-olds. It probably takes them 2 or 3 years to make their AFL debut. I don't think that would have been the case with him. He probably is ready-made for it. But yeah, he obviously sat and thought about it and made the decision that Mayo football is calling. And I always say when I came out, thank God I didn't have to make a decision between Mayo football and coming out and play professional sports. It's a very, very hard decision to make. And I know if I was back in his shoes to make a decision, I'd have struggled. But your county is calling, and I suppose when you grow up as a young boy or girl, your dream always is to either win Sam Maguire or win Brendan Martin. So yeah. It's a very difficult decision, and I'm sure it has been a difficult kind of 6 or 8 weeks for him.
That's a really interesting point, Cora, on whether or not this is, a stay of execution when it comes to his career in the GAA, and maybe he'll go down to the AFL in a year's time or whatever, because it does seem that there is an opportunity for Mayo in the short term to try and get over the finish line and try and get their hands on Sam Maguire, especially when you've got Cillian O'Connor back this year. He's 29, I think, at this point. Diarmuid would be 27 maybe. So you've got those two guys in the peak of their powers. That's a pretty compelling argument to say to Oisin Mullin that if you come back to Mayo, you may not have a chance of winning an All-Ireland as much as you would if you stay for just one more season.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. I think, Mayo are probably... we've said this a number of times, but I do think, it's probably, in the next year or two that their chances are really there if they want to take it. It's a very interesting move, even if you look at the whole Stephen Cohen going as the Mayo captain and Tommy Conroy going as vice captain. Was that a shrewd move by James Horan? Tommy Conroy and Oisin Mullin are, the best of friends and have played football, grown up for underage. They've come up through all the underage academies in Mayo. They've played school football together in Ballinrope and won an All-Ireland B title there. So, there's all of that too. There's the draw of Tommy Conroy now being vice-captain. Stephen Cohen, who's quite a young player as well. So, yeah, maybe Oisin will look to that and say, well, will I give it one last hurrah? Or, maybe, just, who knows? I'm certainly sure that Geelong won't, give up on him, for AFL season 2023. I'm sure they'll be pushing to get him out again. They obviously seen something over the last few years in him. Let's remember he was meant to come out just before COVID hit in 2020. So, they've been keeping an eye on him and trying to really push hard to try and get him out. So, whether they take him out as a 21 or a 22-year-old, I don't think it's going to be a huge difference. So, it's another kind of, he sees it as, the All-Ireland is in July or August this year. So it's kind of 6 or 7 months more at home, and do Geelong take him then? These are only the things I'm thinking, or does he stay with Mayo for the rest of his career? Who knows? But it's certainly from a Mayo fan's point of view and a Mayo supporter's point of view, it's great that we have him for next season. It's
interesting the way that you guys have kind of put the template down, where you can go out for a while. Obviously the seasons are different, and the AFLW is a relatively new concept, and so maybe there'll be more resistance to players having a dual existence when it comes to the men's game. But who knows, you might be right, and maybe he plays a limited number of minutes over the next couple of years for Geelong, and they think that's worthwhile because he can have an impact on games. Before I talk to you about your own season so far, we had Bríd Stack on last week talking about just the emotion of making it back from the fairly horrific neck injury that she suffered, and your voice is there chipping in when that moment where she actually gets the jersey, and it's just an incredible scene where the head coach has clearly made the decision that she's going to be named, but leaves it to the very last second to name her. Did you know that she was going to be named in the team?
I was sure from her pre-season and how well she'd been performing in her training that she was going to be named. I don't think there was much doubt in anyone else, but I do say to our coach Al, he's a very good coach. I think he's trying to get into acting a little bit too. He does like all these video moments where they announce debutants, and obviously it's a lot different how we announce them at home, where you're pulled aside and you're told you're starting. But they certainly like to do their moments over here. But it certainly was very special for Bríd. She'd obviously had a very turbulent 12 months previous to that. I think it was nearly a year to the day to when she was injured. I was 100% certain that she was going to play. And then when I seen there was only 20 names up on the board, and obviously 21 is what a match day team is. I certainly knew it was her. But it was nice the way he done it and left her to the last, because, as I said, it was a very difficult 12 months for her. And I know certainly I've seen her working so hard to try and make that debut, and there's been a lot of demons, certainly from a mental point of view in training, and coming back initially before we went home in May, June last year, and even coming back out training again in October, and all that kind of contact work that people don't see. I think a lot of people don't realise there was periods of for a couple of hours after the match, there was talks of Bríd, being paralysed and not being able to move again. So, she was millimetres from that happening. So, the mental torture with injuries to try and get over all them demons and get all them tackles in. Her first performance was immense, and I'm just glad that she's got these games under her belt, and she's only going to get stronger and stronger. And it's a credit to her and the medical staff of the Giants that that she's got to where she has.
It's an incredible story, really, and she did say, though, that you stayed out at the end of last season. We didn't probably know this, but she got back and might have been able to play at the end of last season. But she said that you guys stayed out and practiced and trained and had extra coaching from the manager as well. And that seems to have been a kind of a seminal moment in her own self-belief. When that was happening, when you were going to those training sessions, did you think, this is all a bit crazy, what are you doing? Or were you like, actually, you know what, if you keep going here, you're going to be able to do it?
No, I don't think I ever thought it was crazy. I probably seen how driven she was the early days, and I'm talking very early days now. This is probably a week or two after the Nick break, and we were away in a hub at the time, and she was we were, she was doing daft stuff at the time that probably wasn't, it's certainly advised by any of the medical staff of the Giants, but, she was trying things that, she probably shouldn't have been, just to get back for the end of the season. I don't think the Giants staff would ever have ticked her off medically to come back, but she was trying everything. And, once the season ended, I think she knew in her head that she didn't want that to be the way to finish her AFL career. So she decided, we'll wait on for a little while. In Australia, I think we waited on maybe for 2 months, and then kind of we done 6 weeks of training with Al, our head coach, who's a great guy, and you love to spend time around and you learn things from him all the time. So, myself and Bríd and Cora and young Ogie used to meet Al maybe 3 or 4 times a week for, just touch sessions, and they were very, slow build-up sessions for Bríd, and, you kind of forget when she's back out kicking the ball and doing stuff, but then the minute we went into contact, you could see how nervous she was, and I suppose it brought me back to the times when I had to learn how to do everything again after I broke my leg, and that was like contact, learning how to fall, small things like that. So you knew how far she was away at that stage, and I mean, we're just using tackle bags and stuff, but I suppose her confidence really built over that kind of 6 weeks, and then really individual sessions where there's only 2 or 3 of us in the session. It gives you time to make mistakes, and it's only me and Cora that's there. She's not worrying about everyone else. So she really grew in that kind of 5 or 6 weeks, and obviously went home and then decided that she was coming back and really attacked. The rest of it went back and played Gaelic football with our club, and that gave her more and more confidence, even though Gaelic football isn't as contact based, but it was just that confidence that grew and grew. And when she came back in October, when we got out of hotel quarantine, she really flourished and got that confidence back. But I suppose you're never going to have your full confidence back till you get your first match under your belt. And unfortunately for us, our practice match was cancelled. We were meant to play Adelaide in a practice match, but because of COVID, we didn't get a practice match in. So round 1 was always going to be our first match back. And as I said, she acquitted herself very well, and went down on some really brave balls that, I'm sure she had probably flashbacks, when she was going down early days for the first few balls in the match. But as I said, she acquitted herself very well, and she's getting stronger and stronger, and will do for the rest of the season.
How's your own form going? You've won one and lost one at the start of the season here, and you've scored in both of those games. So how is your own form at the moment?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Like, I'd be happy from, a goal scoring point of view. 4 goals, obviously, from 2 games from an AFL point of view is quite good. I think this time last year, I think it took me till around 4 to kickstart my goal scoring spree. So, from the goal scoring point of view, it's probably my strongest pre-season I've had since maybe my leg break. That was probably my other strongest pre-season. It's been my longest one as well. From the Giants' point of view, I got out as early as I could this time, even though we still probably missed 4 weeks pre-season because of obviously hotel quarantine and getting out later. But I feel really strong and fit. Had a little bit of a groin niggle going into round 1, but thankfully that settled down. I'm feeling good. The body is good. I rarely miss training over here. It's not a thing that I like to do. So pre-season has probably been my strongest so far. So. A difficult defeat yesterday against Frio, but Frio are probably one of the top two or 3 teams in the competition. So we were expecting a really tough game against them. But we'll build on. We have North Melbourne coming up this weekend, so it's very thick and fast game wise. It's all about just recovering from week to week and getting yourself up for the game, whether it's on a Saturday or Sunday. It's difficult with COVID times. We played in Melbourne yesterday. It's fly in, fly out. So we fly the morning of the match, get to Melbourne. We have to stay within. We were playing in Whitten Oval. We had to stay within Whitten Oval until for a couple of hours until our match happened. These are all COVID protocols. Normally we fly the night before the match. So things like that are difficult to get used to. But looking forward, we're away again. So we've been away. This will be our 3rd weekend away. So that sometimes can be draining on the body and all the travelling. But we were lucky then we're home for a few weeks. So certainly looking forward to playing in Sydney. Well,
look, it's great to catch up with you. Thanks a million. Keep up the goal scoring, and we'll talk to you real soon, Cora. Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks a million, guys. Take care.
It's Cora Staunton there, who, as she said herself, is in good form at the early start of the AFLW season. We'll obviously keep you up to date with that as it unfolds. It's 10 minutes past 9 this morning here on OTB AM, brought to you by Gillette. Good morning. Start with Gillette. Put your best face forward with their new and improved razors.